Holy Spirit. And I want you to notice why they knew that this baptism had taken place. Now, these were Jewish believers that accompanied Peter in the household of Cornelius. And as they heard the message, they saw that the Holy Spirit came down on all those in the house of Cornelius. For they heard them speaking in other languages, some versions say in other tongues, and declaring the greatness of God.
Richard will be right back in a moment to wrap up. But if you've just joined us, you've been listening to Reflections on the Word with Richard Kay. You can hear this message in its entirety again online, as well as Richard's entire archive at talknetworkradio.com. We would like to acknowledge our theme song, How Great Is Thy Faithfulness, from the America's 25 Favorite Hymns album. Unless otherwise expressed, scriptures are read from the Holman Christian Standard Bible, which is published by Holman Bible Publishers in Nashville, Tennessee. Additional resources used for Reflections on the Word with Richard Kay include Great is Thy Faithfulness by Our Daily Bread and printed by Discovery House Publishers. Again, here is Richard to wrap up today's message.
Now, I want you to understand this portion is very, very important. You see, they received the Holy Spirit and they spoke with other languages. And yet, in this account, the Gentiles received the Holy Spirit in the exact same way. So what you see here is both the gift of tongues that is being brought into play by the Holy Spirit, as well as the interpretation of those languages, because they heard them speaking in other languages, and they knew they were declaring the greatness of God. And so we see that the baptism of the Holy Spirit is not just for a specific few. It was not for the select Jews only. It was for all hearers of the gospel. And so we see that with this particular account, God is not one who shows favoritism in the use of the baptism of the Holy Spirit. He will baptize a believer in the Holy Spirit, and all they must do is seek Him. And that is today's reflection on the Word.
Thank you, Richard. Join us again tomorrow when we continue with the next edition of Reflections on the Word with Richard Kay. For Richard and the entire team, this is Chuck Christie saying thanks for listening to this edition of Reflections on the Word.